Storm members brought in experience in militant street tactics, revolutionary agitation, and coalition building. Just gather together as many revolutionaries as you can. Get the unions, get everybody. He went on, we believed that we needed to help lay the groundwork for an advance guard organization to emerge as a future, more powerful form of revolutionary political organization. Such an organization could help militants to develop as revolutionaries. Please, please, things are about to change. Do not dismiss these people on the side of the chalkboard as minor players or even just like you. Again, the man in the 1960s, here, these are the men here. This guy was down here as one of the revolutionaries in the 60s. This was the man, had all the power, the family, just like you. And these were the revolutionaries. Now the revolutionaries are here, just like you. They've taken a tie, and they're just, no, really, nothing to be afraid of. This is the power. And the revolutionary today that they want you to believe is you. They may go to Starbucks. They may wear a tie. They may wear a dress. They may speak in soft tones. But they are not like you. Van Jones said it. He admitted himself. You must drop the radical pose for the radical ends. The White House knew who this guy was the whole time. Watch.
Van Jones, we were so delighted to be able to recruit him into the White House. We've been watching him really he's not that old, but for as long as he's been active out in Oakland.
Out in Oakland. This is what he was doing in Oakland. Bill Ayers. Bill Ayers. How many times have we talked to you about Bill Ayers? And I know people don't even hear Bill Ayers' name anymore. But you have to know who this guy is. He's now a professor at the University of Chicago. Okay? He writes books. He was part of the Weather Underground group. He summed up the Weather Underground philosophy as, quote, kill all the rich people, break up their cars and their apartments, bring the revolution home, kill your parents. That's where it's really at. Now, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that it was all hyperbole, except for the fact that he actually did this stuff. He blew stuff up in the 1960s, including the Pentagon. I'd give him the benefit of the doubt that he was young and he was stupid, except he recently said he doesn't regret the bombings. He wishes they did more. Ayers' wife, Bernadine Dohrn, okay, also in the Weather Underground. She's one of the people who organized the Freedom Flotilla. Remember the boat that went over to Israel? She helped organize it. She has called for an overthrow of everything bad in government and an overthrow of capitalism itself. Way back in 2007, she said this.
The majority of people who are activists have stayed the course in a way, in a variety of ways. Devoted to overthrowing everything hateful about this government and corporate structure that we live in, capitalism itself, herself, himself, and determined to try to keep open and figure out how to move on.
Do you hear this? Everything that we were doing, she said, we're still doing in a way. They still want to overthrow everything. That was in 2007. America, we got a problem. We got to admit it. Sean Penn, without the slightest hint of irony, said this.
Every day, this elected leader is called a dictator here, and we just accept it and accept it. And this is mainstream media, who should truly, there should be a bar by which one goes to prison for these kinds of lies.
He's talking about people like me who says that Chavez is a dictator. He'd like me to go to prison for saying those kinds of lies. Let me play Rosie O'Donnell just for kicks. Here's what she said a couple of days ago.
Seize their assets today. Take over the country. I don't care. Issue an executive order. Say, BP, guess what? Call it socialism. Call it communism. Call it anything you want.
It's their words. Call it communism. Doesn't matter. They're progressives. They'll change the name if you don't like it until they find something that tests well in a focus group, and they'll call it cat food if that's what'll get you to buy it. They'll get it any way they can, and they're making progress. Van Jones said it yesterday. They've already got the White House. They've captured the House and the Senate. They have the Democratic Party. Now, I don't think these people want communism. I don't. They just want power and money. I'm not sure if the regular Democrats have the Stockholm Syndrome or what. Or maybe it's just arrogance that they think they can control these revolutionaries who mean what they say. Believe me, the politicians are using the revolutionaries, and the revolutionaries are using the politicians. Okay? But there is a way out. There is a way out. I'm a recovering alcoholic. You got to go the steps, man. The first step, recognize you got a problem. Recognize the truth. America, we got a problem. Once you say that, you can move on to the second one. We are powerless to fight it without God. More in a second. Hello, America. Thank you so much for watching. I said this before earlier today, and I'll expand on it next week. Our country is missing heroes. Name the heroes in our country that our kids can look up to. There are forces that are rising up now in America. There are the Tea Parties and the revolutionaries. The revolutionaries that we've been telling you about today, they are now telling you've got to go out and you got to get out into the streets. Their side is working. But so is the other side. This weekend, Judge Napolitano has Freedom Watch. It's a brand new show of his. He is holding a Tea Party summit. He is bringing together Sarah Palin and Ron Paul for the first time. That's on the Fox Business Network. It's Saturday at 10 a.m. and 8 p.m., or you can catch it Sunday, 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern, Fox Business. Also, we have been working here to restore history. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the Constitution. We've got some amazing shows all summer. And also I'm doing a 7-hour live show with Judge Napolitano is there, David Barton is there, with the American Revival. This is the last time we will do this live. And I'd love for you to be there. It is an amazing, almost a spiritual experience it is. July 17th, the last city we're doing it in is Salt Lake City. Tickets are still available. We're working to restore America. Go get your tickets at glennbecktours.com for details. All right. I gave you the progressive plan that happened at this conference in Washington, D.C. this weekend, where they said, take it to the streets, just like we did in the 60s, and you force the government to move. That's what they think happened here. These people forced the government to move. The revolutionaries of the 60s that are all involved, take it to the streets, cause turmoil, get out, march, and it will cause this government to move. Well, let me show you a little history lesson of what it means to some of these people to take it to the streets. 40 years after the Weather Underground bombings, most Americans have forgotten what a radical revolutionary group they were because they've been erased. But there is one man who was able to gain real insight into who Bill Ayers and his wife Bernadine Dorn were, and the lengths that they were willing to go to accomplish their vision for America. This man is Larry Grathwohl. He is the only FBI agent to ever successfully infiltrate the Weathermen. Once, when he was a lot younger than this, he got inside the group and he trained as he gained their trust of Bill Ayers. He probed their plans for the future. I want you to listen to this because this is what they said they had to do in the 60s. He made some amazing discoveries. Watch this old footage.
I brought up the subject of what's going to happen after we take over the government. We become responsible then for administrating, 250 million people. And there was no answers. No one had given any thought to economics. How are you going to clothe and feed these people? The only thing that I could get was that they expected that the Cubans and the North Vietnamese and the Chinese and the Russians would all want to occupy different portions of the United States.
Okay. Now that's changed because now they've grown up, they're adults, and they also have some politicians and some global thinkers that will help them structure things. But did they have any other contingency plans? Oh yes. Oh yes, they sure did.
Their immediate responsibility would be to protect against what they called the counter-revolution. And they felt that this counter-revolution could best be guarded against by creating and establishing re-education centers in the Southwest, where we would take all the people who needed to be re-educated into the new way of thinking and teach them how things were going to be.